We are live.
Live.
Hello.
Yeah, man.
Welcome to Brothers and Brews on Daddy Porter's stations and on everywhere you can get Scotch for yours. I'm excited about our guests today, but you're going to get to your beer first.
Yeah. So we're going to jump in. As I posted on my own little Facebook wall, I am breaking from my norm, and I only have one dark beer tonight, so that's very unusual for me. Usually I stick with the really heavy stuff, but I decided to go a little different tonight, but because I found some pretty interesting things. First thing I'm going to load up here is a little Margarita Gosa from Cigar.
Oh, here we go.
Now, I thought this is interesting because you figure with the Gosa's like kind of salty ways to go. I thought a Gosa would be really good with that, with Margarita stuff. So let's pop this puppy open.
Cheers, HG.
Cheers, man. All right.
So we're starting on the low end with a Gosa.
Yeah,
here.
this is only 4.2, so that's pretty low normally for me. But man, I don't get a lot of the margarita smell. But
well, I'm shady on these beers, man.
I like Gosas, so all right, we got nice, pretty clear.
Yes. You found a Gosa in the middle of winter in New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got the lime smell really prevalent, which I like because I like limes. So with this, here it says on basically ale brewed with orange, lime, and salt. But
salt beer.
Oh man, that's almost puckery. That is good. So definitely got the margarita kind of flavor. It's not so much on like the sour mix, but it's got that pucker, but like almost tart, but a borderline sour to go with the Gosa, the salty Gosa. Man, this would be awesome in the summer. I mean, just hot day.
Shower beer?
Definitely. If you feel like having margaritas in the shower. So yeah, this is really, really good.
Shower beer?
Mm-hmm.
Shower beer, you said?
I said so. Yeah, if you like margaritas in the shower.
All right.
Or if you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain, either.
Right. Again, we've been on the show for almost a year now. I'm still kind of new to the whole shower thing. So
yeah, that's okay.
All right. Well, we're going to bring in our guest because I want to get to not only what he has to talk about, which is going to be fun. I also want to get to the sour session ale here from Winner. Anyway, for people in Madison, this guy, everybody knows him. He's connected with many of our beer friends and our beer organizations and our breweries and our great beer bars. I mean, he's just a man around town in Madison. He recently joined up with a local distillery. He is one of the main honchos for the Madison home-brewing club, the Madison Tasters, and Madison Home-Brewing Tasters Guild. Ooh, it's a long one, man.
Yeah, he's got a resume, man.
So, he's done a lot. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring on my friend Fred Swanson. Hey, Fred.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Fred.
How you doing, Fred?
Nice to see you both.
Oh, it's great. So, the thing I didn't mention I want to jump into immediately is the event that you founded that's happening here tomorrow in Madison.
Yep, Distill America. We are on our 12th year. It came about from a conversation that we had at Great Taste about 15 years ago. We, Jerry Mogensen, myself, and Adam Casey had been doing some events through Star Liquor, and I got priced out of a little event called Whiskey Fest. It was always held during the week. Tickets ended up being $300+. Hotel rooms were about that. Parking was $50. Doesn't count your food for the night if you're going to Chicago. Pretty soon that event is $1,000 event. And I figured in Madison we could do it different. It's amazing what you can do when everybody's volunteering, everybody agrees to take $0 as an organizer. So we thought about it. We jumped right in and we started it 12 years ago. Tomorrow is our 12th, and we're super excited to continue to grow and highlight all American craft spirits for our customers.
Excellent, excellent. So, I totally forgot. What are you drinking tonight?
I have a golden lager from MKE, my friends in Milwaukee. Jim McCabe's place. Jim and Mike Christensen and I have been friends for a long time. That is a fantastic lager. I think it's also a really great looking can. The package is fantastic. Super biscuity, nice and crisp. Just totally crushable. And as Greg would say, shower beer.
Yeah. Wow. That's great.
That's Doug's with the shower beer.
Doug's the shower beer guy. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I'm aficionado of having a beer in the shower. So
Perfect.
I have a blue tub. You ever see this one, Fred?
Yeah, aren't they out of? Are those guys out of Chicago?
Yeah, Weiner.
Weiner, yeah. They specialize
Weiner.
in sours and saisons and French farmhouse ales.
Yeah. And Fred knows. Skipping around here because Fred's all over the place. Fred knows. Explain it to everybody. Fred, part of Fred's job, and Fred actually, I know you do plenty of jobs with the Homebrew Club. So correct me if I'm wrong, but part of Fred's job is that he is the consigliere, is that the word, between our homebrew group and a lot of the brewers. So Fred knows. I mean, how many brewers you know?
Oh, well, I mean, you figure there's 200 that come to the Great Taste, and then there's 200 that sit on the wait list. So there's at least 400 there. That's just the Midwest guys. We've gotten a little bit of national attention in the past. So we've had some folks from around the country, from large breweries, super regionals, et cetera, come in. So yeah, one of the things I do for the Great Taste of the Midwest is I am the beer liaison, kind of the beer wrangler, the guy that helps to get all the beer and the brewers there to the event.
Nice.
And it's a big ass job, Doug. I mean, it takes like 2 or 3 days. It takes 2 or 3 days from what I see to get all the beer in one place, for the brewers to deliver it, because brewers love them, but some of them can be procrastinators or, you know what I mean? So it's,
I mean, these guys that make beer for a living, they don't, they're not the most organized group every time.
Right.
Yeah. It's like herding cats, as they say.
Yeah, you're very gracious there.
Yeah,
absolutely. This is they call it a sour saison ale. This is very, very it's probably not as puckery as what Doug just had. It's a very nice, approachable saison and sour. It's a saison sour. Very approachable from both because saisons and sours can be very assertive and put off by a lot of people who are, if looking for a big pucker or big, saison-y, yeasty kind of thing. So this is I would call this like a fruit. It might be a fruit beer. It's pretty good.
And so I'm guessing you've had that one, Fred?
I've had a lot of Weiner's beers. I think those guys are doing a great job. We also drinking out of last year's Great Taste class.
Oh, look at that.
Yes. Yeah. And so then we talked about we haven't got to the Great Taste, which is which is one of the best beer fests ever, in my opinion. It's correct me if I'm wrong, Fred. It's the largest beer fest put on by a private group.
Yeah, and second oldest in North America behind GABF.
Look at that. So yes, Doug, this is one you have to get your butt out here for one of these years. It's an amazing event. It's put on right next to the lake here. It's just great. It's just a wonderful, this beer fest. And so Fred, I have to ask you, how does Distill America differ from the Great Taste? Because you put them both on.
I think it came from a different place. I made mention before that Distill America came from an inability for 2 white middle-class teachers that couldn't afford an event anymore, and that just drove me nuts. That made no sense. If you're putting on an event that you might be clearing and profiting in 6 figures, and the 1%ers are in the room, but nobody else is in the room, that didn't, to me, look like a sensible event from a producer's side. We can make all of the whiskey that we make out in Cambridge, but it takes somebody working the aisles of a liquor store and somebody tending bar to get that into me and to get those sales rung up. We can't sell it. So if those guys can't afford to be in the room, if I can't afford to be in the room, a lot of those service industry people are not in there either. So if you put on an event for customers, but it's accessible for the people that we all need to have a successful business, then that made a whole lot more sense to me than just ringing up a bunch of profits.
So what does it look like? I've never been. You walk in.
It's also really, it's hard for people to wrap their brain around because they think, oh my God, this is a 3-hour unlimited drinking spirits event.
Yes.
So I tell people that the first rule is eat dinner before you come. And then the second rule, when you're done with dinner, have dinner again.
Yeah.
So that you come and then make sure that you stop, make sure you talk, make sure that you have a glass of water or a bottle of water in your hand, an Nalgene, and that'll slow you down really quick. So, we've got a ton of food there. We've got heavy apps. We've got a lot of, it looks like an indoor kind of a convention. Everybody's behind a little 6-foot table. Everybody has what they want to highlight and what they want to show people. Some people are making cocktails right at their table. We have a cocktail station. We've got a huge wall of food. We've got 3 different education seminars that we run. So it's really similar kind of in its ethos to the Great Taste, but it is also very different.
Yeah. So you got a question?
No, I just think it's fascinating and really great to have something that's a little more for folks who are, like you said, like wealthy. Like I couldn't afford to go to $1,000 thing. I get you on that. Like, and for someone like me, yeah, I like beer, but I also am a big Scotch drinker. I want to try, and I dabble a bit in bourbons, but I like gin. Like I want to try a bunch of different things, but I can't afford to go to someplace where a hotel is $300 a night on top of the tickets are that much. And making it for the people, for lack of a better term, is a really ambitious and pretty great thing. So thanks for doing that.
No worries. I mean, it's also, we make no bones about it. I mean, we are the second oldest, just like the Great Taste is the second oldest. We're the second oldest all-American spirits event in the U.S. behind the American Distillers Institute. We had to 12 years ago get on it pretty quick. Otherwise we would have just, been the third, fourth, whatever in. But there's no Scotch in the room. There's no rum in the room. There's no tequila. It is all stuff made in the States. So you're not arguing against, you're not there trying to pony up and catch attention versus somebody that's pouring a $250 bottle of Scotch. You are comparing apples to apples. So there's as much vodka in that room as there are cordials and liqueurs, as there are bourbons, as there are ryes, as there are malt whiskeys. There's a ton of gin in the room. So it highlights what people are doing.
Excellent.
So I one other question, if I may.
Sure.
If you're part of the home brewer thing, do you also talk about distilling at home?
Absolutely. I mean, there's not a quote unquote legal way to do that currently, but there are ways to do that currently. And I think one of the cool things that we're going to do out at the Dancing Goat Distillery in Cambridge is we're going to put in and have a gin school. So we're buying 20 little stills that you can come in, take a gin school with us, and leave with your own 750 of gin that you made that day. We'll log your recipe, and if you decide you want 12 more bottles for Christmas down the road, just order them up. We'll have one of our distillers make them in the back, and you can come pick them up. But we're trying to be an experience place, and we're trying to showcase what you can do at home on little stills, but also what you can do and what you can learn walking through a class with one of our master distillers.
See, that's great, because I've heard of people doing that with like wineries and going to like wine and making your wine, and you put it in and you come and get it later. That's fantastic, and I wish I was local.
Right. It'll be fun. We'll get that thing cooking up hopefully within the year.
Yeah.
Wow. Doug, you want to go for your second beer?
Sure. That first one was awesome, so I'm glad that turned out well. Next one I'm doing is a collab.
Again on Ghosts, February in upstate New York. I love it.
Yeah. It's delicious.
I love it. Well, Ghosts, man, we talked about this. Fred, real quick, we'll just jump on Ghosts. Like, have you seen less Ghosts? I mean, remember there was a big spike, and Doug and I talked about how Doug loves them. We haven't seen them recently. What have you seen with the Ghosts?
Well, it's interesting because, now everybody's on IPAs, okay? And they're on, all the, juicy IPAs and the unfiltered IPAs and the milkshake IPAs. Ghosts seem to be pretty seasonal. I think that they are targeting either cocktail drinkers in your case with that can, as well as anybody that likes really adventurous beers, maybe a sour beer drinker, et cetera, et cetera. But Gozes seem to have kind of plateaued now. I think almost every brewery that I know has either made one or has one long term, or they're all going to bring them back in summer when the weather warms up.
Yeah, I think maybe it might be because Cigar City's down in Florida that they kind of put that out. Yeah. I didn't even look to see the date.
Oh, that was Cigar City?
Okay. Yeah, and it was canned in January of this year, so
makes a little bit more sense, but
sure.
So interesting.
Yeah. So
what you got now, buddy?
So the next one is we've had some Boulevard beers on here before. I know for sure. This is a Boulevard collaboration with Tech Nine Brewing.
Oh.
So Tech Nine, it's also a rap reference, so that. It's called Bulu. It's a wheat beer with pineapple and coconut added. It's 5.5% ABV. So let's give this a go. Boulevard, I've really liked a lot of Boulevard beers. I don't know that I've had a lot that I didn't like. So
that is definitely not a Doug style, though.
No.
Right. A wheat with, did you say pineapple? Oh, no, coconut and
pineapple.
Coconut and pineapple. Okay.
So it's got a little bit of the cloudiness.
Yeah. Nice little TQ you got going there.
Yeah, I like those classics. Yeah. So you can smell the pineapple really a lot. But
pineapple.
Yeah, but you kind of expect that because pineapple is such a strong odor. So pineapple on the front, little coconut, no wheat taste. Because it's a wheat beer with pineapple and coconut, so that it almost tastes. It's not hoppy like an IPA, but it was reminiscent of that kind of juicy IPA kind of mouthfeel. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's good, but it almost tastes like a dessert beer. It's a pineapple so prevalent that it almost tastes like really sweet.
Over fruity or too sweet or?
No, I don't think so. Now the second sip, I'm getting a little more of the wheat flavor, but I would, for me, this would be something I'd have after dinner and have one and be good. Like, again, it feels like a dessert beer. If that makes a wheat beer is not what I would normally consider a dessert beer, but just because of the pineapple, a little bit of coconut notes. The coconut's like perfect for me because it's just a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of coconut, but
they fruited that bitch out.
They did for sure.
All right, guys. So I have a dilemma on my second one. So I got a double dry hop, double Indian pale ale here.
Holy moly!
From a brewery I know Fred loves, or not. I don't know if he loves it. I know he knows it. Half Acre. From
those guys are awesome.
Of course. Right. I don't want to. I know everybody loves Half Acre, but I don't want to speak for everybody.
Right.
You might be that one and be like, I don't like Half Acre. And another one, a local one that I think everybody loves too, is Carbon 4.
Yep.
I have their Mexican chocolate stout. It's a 4% or 5%, 5.7. So it's not a big stout. Okay. So if you're looking at what I'm looking at, what do you do first?
I'm going to do an IPA next myself. So you can go with stout and be all different.
Yeah, because I mean, either way, you got to wash that palate out.
Right.
Right. Totally. But this one is such a small one. I'll do the small at 5.7%. I'll do this. Carbon 4 is one of the local. What's the word I want to use, Fred? They're one of the local
Madison.
Yeah, they're one of the top brewers in Madison for sure. They've been around for 7 years.
7, 8.
7, 8. Yep. What I like about Carbon 4 is that they hang around with the trends. So again, if you're into the juicy, hazy, double IPA, blah, 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 they have that. But they also have really good, they also have a great smoked porter. I know Fred knows about. You got a mild running up in there, here and there. They do all kinds of, they really try, in my opinion. They don't do so many lagers, but on the ale side, though, they do a shit ton. They're all over the place, I think. What do you think, Fred?
I think those guys are doing great. Okay, they're in a tiny little space. It's the old Ale Asylum space before the Ale Asylum moved out. They're kind of shoehorned in there. I don't know how much more room they have to grow in there, but yeah, their spectrum is great. I mean, they've got 3%, 3.5% beers all the way up to 10% beer.
Well, I know Fred knows a lot about things, so I'm not holding you to this, but I heard a rumor about Carbon 4 that they're and if they're not going to move, they would get another facility. I didn't hear anything about that. I heard that if Carbon 4 expands, it would be as another facility, not moving, is what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not.
I heard they said that on our YouTube channel that we were doing for the Isthmus, Mark Alfred and I. They made that very clear that if they're going to do another space, it'd be a production facility, and they would still want people to come to Kinsman Boulevard up on the north side.
Yeah, it's a really good. Doug, you will be getting some Carbon 4 here in a few days.
I picked up stuff for you too. So
yeah, and I don't know. I might stop by. I might stop by the. I hope to get to stop by the brewery this weekend and see what else they got going on there, because they do small batch stuff. They used to do like a release a week, man. That's crazy. Or a Firkin a week. I mean, come on. So I have their real quick. I have their Mexican hot chocolate stout with vanilla beans, and well, everybody knows what a Mexican hot stout is. This is not hot at all. I'm not getting any, or it's a Mexican hot chocolate stout. Very, very chocolatey, but not too spicy. You know how these things can be big, spicy, like whether it be cinnamon or when they put in nutmeg, or this is very, very subdued. All the flavors. It's really approachable. It's really nice, and it drinks like 7%, so it doesn't drink, like a big one. This is a nice drinking Mexican stout. Usually, in my opinion, they're big, and you can only drink, not only, but they're small samples. You have a little small glass, and you move on. This one, you can drink this whole thing. I'm happy with this. Cheers, Carbon 4. Cheers.
So what do you have going on next there, Fred?
I have a Damn That's Good double IPA from my friends at the Explorium in Southridge Mall in Milwaukee. So they've been a great addition to the Milwaukee beer scene. They have been to the Great Taste multiple times, and they support the heck out of our distillery because they have a full liquor license, and they use our rye in some batch cocktails.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Mike, one of their owners, is just a fantastic guy and a hell of a brewer. His family background is that his family started in the 80s Tampa Bay Brewing. So he moved up because he fell in love with a woman from Milwaukee. He lives here now, started his own brewery, but his family's brewery is Tampa Bay Brewery down in Tampa Bay.
Mm. Oh, excellent. And the Milwaukee beer scene is just, whew.
It used to be that Madison beer sold really well in Milwaukee because they were what was local. Now there are almost 20 breweries in the greater Milwaukee area, and it's tough to sell beer from Madison and Milwaukee because they got their guys now. Explorium being a classic example, MKE being a classic example. They're doing a great job in Milwaukee.
Yes, Hacienda, Eagle Point. It just goes on and on there. It really does. I mean, they're really, I don't know. It's great to see the resurgence of Brew City. It's just fantastic, and it's good to see it in a mom and pop type way, is the way I like it. Because you already know, Fred, my breweries are mom and pop shops. So another interesting job that Fred has with the Homebrew Club is that Fred is part of the planning of the bus trip. So every year, Doug, there's a bus trip that the Homebrewing Club takes to the brewers that come to the Great Taste. Oh. So it's kind of a hat tip off to them, saying thanks for coming to our to our event, and making our event as good as it can be. So we're going to come out to you, and we're pretty much going to flood you with 40 people, and we're going to have a good old time, and we're going to buy a whole bunch of shit and eat all your food and then leave. So like in a span of a half an hour, 45 minutes sometimes. But a lot of times though, Fred, what Fred and the people who organize this do is they set up these wonderful either dinners or, they usually have us at a place, Doug. We start on a Friday. We go, late at night, and then we get a hotel. And these motherfuckers have us starting at 8 o'clock in the morning at a brewery. They're opening it up for us, and they're like, "Come on, guys, let's go." And we're all like, But it's part of the experience, and it's a really good time. And I don't know, the last time I went was 2 years ago, and the first one on Saturday was Rush River up in yes, and that was just one of my favorite stops, even though I was like, I can't do this shit. Like, I don't know. Speak to a little bit about the bus trip.
It comes from a really good place. I mean, we call it the goodwill trip, and it's literally to spread goodwill and to say thank you. I mean, these guys spend a lot of money. We pay them above retail for their beer, which is not what almost any beer festival does. And that's fine. I'd still like to pay them more, but we certainly don't cover their costs. Okay, if you're coming from Madison, we're still not covering your costs for time, talent, and we're certainly not covering your costs if you're coming from Detroit and you got to get a hotel room. So when you're bringing 6 staff, I mean, our little $200 per half barrel only goes so far. So one of the things that we do is we like to create this little economic engine, and we tell all these guys to take that weekend before Thanksgiving, take that Friday off work, fill your pockets with cash, because we're going to go out and drop little economic engine bombs, in 10 or 12 different places. We're going to spend an hour and a half, take a tour. We're going to spend some time talking. We're going to relax a little bit off the bus, but we're going to drink some beer and see your joint and say thanks.
Buy a whole bunch of t-shirts.
The way I would want to be treated if I was on the other side of the table.
And that allows for, as you say, to use your term, goodwill to bring those folks back. Because they'd be like, hey, if I'm going to go here, I know they might bring some folks to come to our brewery and try more of our beer and experience what we have to offer. And, that's really, you really have a sense of how to make the scene more inclusive and to have more people experience it all and just spread that out. I think that's, again, I don't have things like that here. I'm in upstate New York.
Okay.
So the closest city I'm near to is Binghamton, and there are 4 breweries. That's it. So it's like, I don't have a cavalcade of options.
Sure.
So, but just the idea of having those folks, I mean, within 2 hours, I have, maybe 30 breweries. So, but
come on, Binghamton, you ain't that small though. You should at least have 8. Come on. What's going on?
You don't, sadly. I will take you to them all Wednesday, and it will not take that long, I promise.
Yay! Good, cool.
I mean, one of the things that we do when we put on the event is, we're in a city park that overlooks the lake, which overlooks the skyline. But I tell everybody, I mean, you say 2 words to every brewer when they start rolling in and dropping off their beer. You say, welcome home. Okay. And we treat that park like it's our living room and it's Christmas Day. And we are inviting you into our house. And we're saying, welcome home. And this is where we want all y'all to be on the second Saturday in August, because you're with us, but even more importantly, you're with each other. So, it's a very different feel when, again, it's a bunch of volunteers running it and they're doing it because they love doing it. So yeah, there's some pictures there. Isn't that pretty? There's our logo from last year. Yeah.
That's it, Doug. That's
6 big tents with about anywhere from 25 to 50 breweries under them. Bunch of standalones in the center of the park as well. We've had some crazy displays. We have a real ale tent that's special and separate. We have an education tent where we run seminars.
So sorry, I got to tell you. So he glossed over the best thing ever, Doug, and I have to not glossed over, but it was it was in his presentation. So, and I have to stop. We have it's called the Great Ale Tent. Real Ale Tent. And all it is Firkins, Doug. And it's special Firkins. It's, I don't know, you're probably not familiar with Todd the Axeman, but that's one of my favorite beers from Shirley. And they just do Todd the Axeman with pineapple or some shit. It doesn't matter.
Pineapple, mango shit.
Right. And it's right, the real intent's right when you come in, or it can be right when you come in. You can steer yourself another way, but it's right when you come in. And how many Firkins did we have in there last year?
Usually 50 to 75.
Yes. yes. And so for the first part of when I go to the Great Taste, I'm literally in there for an hour, Doug, before I go anywhere else. Because I love real ale is my thing. It's I just love it. I love the differences that it brings to beers. So they're all familiar beers generally, Doug. So they're not, or maybe I'm wrong, and Fred can correctly, but my experience has been that they're regular beer, like they're beers that you're familiar with, but they do something special with it and they tweak it and then they put it in a real ale. And it's just a century. It's just wonderful. I can't say enough about the real ale tent, man. Whoever came up with that idea is fucking brilliant.
It's that was one of my ideas. That the Chicago Real Ale Festival closed, and we bought up their infrastructure, and we started it the next year. And there's probably 250 people that don't do anything else. There's 1,500 beers at the Great Taste, 200 breweries, but there are people, 200, 300 people that the Great Taste for them is the Real Ale tent. There's 60 beers there. We might be the first beer festival in America that had to put a peanut allergy warning on a beer in a Real Ale tent. So that was pretty funny. People are like, really? And I'm like, yeah, we can't. I don't need anybody to go into anaphylactic shock here at the festival.
You do not.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's
peanut butter porter and a firkin.
Yeah.
And why is that again?
Well,
it was like a peanut butter porter that we had to put a peanut allergy warning on.
But why don't you have to do that for another peanut butter porter?
Oh, it was the first peanut butter real ale that we ever had.
Gotcha. So, okay, cool. Wow, man. So, Doug, unless you have anything, now it's time for our sponsor.
Got it. I work for this fine company, and that's our Dancing Goat Limousine Rye. And we top 5 ryes in the world in 2018 from Whiskey Enthusiast magazine, top 100 spirits. We do a very different aging process to make it an approachable rye that people hopefully will like to try. It's a rye that's built as much for people that love rye as for people that don't think they are into rye. It's too spicy for them, et cetera, et cetera. We rounded it, we mellowed it, and we made it cocktailable because we proof it to taste. We bottled to taste and not to a proof or an age statement. So that is our little bottle limousine rye. We also have a couple different products. We've got Death Store Gin. We're just relaunching that nationwide, as well as we own the Travis Hazy Pie Liqueurs, as well as Tippy Cow and a couple other products. So we'll be coming out with a gin hopefully soon under the Dancing Goat label. But that's us. Yeah, there's some stuff right there. There you go.
Cow pie is good. I love the cow pie.
Yeah, that's some crazy stuff.
Yes.
But this rye is really nice. It is a fantastic bottle, and we're super proud of it.
And shout out to Travis. I know Travis. Good shit. Cheers. Cheers. All right. Anything else? Fred, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we should be proud in Madison of what we've created when it comes to beverage events and liquor events as a big flyover. I'm super excited that the Madison Craft Beverage Coalition, of which the Dancing Goat is one of 30-ish, that is a group that is basically defined as within 30 miles of the state capitol. If you make whiskey, if you're a distillery, if you're a brewery, a meadery, a winery, a cidery, a craft beverage kombucha maker, we've grouped together, and we're going to start the first ever event in Madison, hopefully this summer, where breweries, wineries, meaderies, and cideries all be under one tent. There's always been breweries and cideries and meaderies doing their own thing, but we've never got the wine guys in. So we want to actually have an event that focuses on us as the craft beverage folks in the Madison area, and all hang out together. I think Madison should be very proud of what we've all created with the juice that we all make.
That's excellent, man. Fred's always got something cooking, Doug. I told you.
And if we don't do it, I'll tell you right now, somebody called Milwaukee Magazine, Madison Magazine, one of those guys that makes an event is going to do it before us. So damn it, we're going to get in first and do it. Then we're going to get Mark Garthwaite, and we're going to do it on a statewide scale.
Yay!
Yep.
Nice.
Mark Garthwaite, it's our friend. Been a long time home brewing guy. I mean, he was one of the. I don't know. You tell me, Fred. You've been around forever. You guys have been around forever.
Mark used to be a researcher in the primate lab at the UW, and then when the NIH lost a lot of funding, he ended up becoming the head of the Wisconsin Brewers Guild. So he's their executive director, and we've braided together the 3 guilds now in Wisconsin to create the Wisconsin Craft Beverage Coalition, which is merely the Wine Guild, the Distillers Guild, and the Brewers Guild, all put together. Madison is a subset of that, just with our local guys. And
not to talk politics, but to talk politics. That's very important here in Wisconsin because there's been more than one time where these are my words, not Fred's or anybody else's. These assholes tried to ram some bullshit down our throat a couple times, and it's really important that we are a solidarity. It's really important to solidarity between all the craft people. I think I felt that the last time. I don't know, Doug, real quick. Like what happened was like they put some restrictions on craft breweries. I'm making it really vague. And they put it in a bill. They added it to a bill that they didn't even need to talk about. It was like one of these like late night 12 o'clock thing.
Add it in on the end.
Yeah, we're just going to add it in, and we're not going to discuss it, and we're not going to, have any committee meetings, and we're not going to let people come and scream and holler about it. So we screamed and hollered about it for like, I don't know, it was a week, and we put pressure on people. I don't know, I was tweeting people and calling people out on Twitter. I don't know. Nobody follows me, but it doesn't matter. The point is that it does matter, actually.
Totally.
A little bit helps. No, it all matters, especially if it's a big, a big push. But that happened a couple years ago, or even I don't even know if it was a couple. But they're just trying. That's why it's important. I don't know, Fred.
Super important to stay on top of it, because if they start to change the taxation structure within any given state, that will change the price of what we're all paying for. If they no longer recognize that it is a huge amount of jobs that are on the line, when you start to look at liquor taxes and whatnot. Sure, there's sin taxes and you could lump them all together, cigarette taxes, liquor taxes, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is there's people's jobs and there's people's livelihoods at stake. And it gets really frustrating when legislators can play pretty cavalier at times, and that's not just Wisconsin. That can be nationwide.
That's politics in America. But we're not, right. So anyway, Doug, get us off of politics. You're usually the one that brings us in. So you got to get us out this time. Now, you have another one, Doug?
I do. I have the last one I have is actually my heaviest one, and it's the only dark beer I have, which is kind of a break for me. Usually it's almost all dark beer all the time.
Yeah, I'm bringing you a whole bunch of dark beer too.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite breweries. This is actually only about 70 miles from me. It's Omegang. This is something I've never seen. It is a bourbon barrel aged vanilla smoked porter.
That's different for them. Very different for them.
Yeah, and I was not I don't think I've ever had a bourbon barrel aged smoked porter. So I saw that, Mike, and it's a limited release. They've actually done quite a few limited release ones, and aged in Gewürztraminer barrels and like all kinds of unique stuff this year. So I think that's been a focus for them.
So, Fred, real quick, what is how much is to get in Distill?
Distill's GA ticket is $65. Okay, that gets you 3 hours. The VIP is 4 hours. You get an hour early, and that is, I think, $75. And then $95 gets you in the VIP hour. But then we have a special World Whiskey Seminar that's upstairs that this year involves different barrel-aged tequilas. So we've got two different tequilas, one aged in a Lagavulin 16 barrel and one aged in a Weller barrel. And we're going to try the tequila unaged. We're going to try the Weller, and then we're going to try the braided one. So there'll be 3 of those, and then we'll do 3 of the others. People will get glassware to take home. The Diageo National Tequila, there's a sommelier is a wine person and a Cicerone is a beer person. There's a term for a tequiladero or something like that. He is Diageo's worldwide tequila brain, and he's going to be leading the seminar. So it's going to be pretty cool.
That's
50 people in a event for an hour.
Well, damn. Right. Yeah. So, you said there's heavy apps. Is that included in the
included in the price? Yep.
Okay. So you just got food walking around. We
got food there and it keeps coming out. We try to put food out after about an hour. Then we got water stations. We got tonic and ginger beer stations, so you can add those to any of your beverage, any of your spirits at any point. We got coffee stations. Yeah.
And one last question before we get to Doug's beer is: are there still tickets available?
If you can make it to the Malt House in Madison, Wisconsin tonight before Bill closes, that's the last place that has tickets, and he might be out.
And we got a Malt House plug in here too.
That's right.
My favorite, one of my favorite,
best craft beer bar.
One of my favorite places to drink beer in the world. Period.
Absolutely.
Doug, so I held you up, but what do we got out of this Omegang? I say it right?
It smells vanilla and chocolate. That's what I'm getting out. It smells like a vanilla, like a chocolate bar with vanilla in it.
No bourbon.
Not on the nose.
Okay.
Not on the bottle. We'll see how it is when I pour it, though.
Well, we better have some bourbon in there at some point,
Yeah. Got that nice little head, nice and dark.
Nice.
All right, next year.
Now I'm getting the bourbon. In the bottle, it was all very chocolatey and vanilla smells. It's
looking the part from here.
Yeah, it's very, very, very boozy on the nose now when I poured it out. It's not, and the thing is, it's boozy, but it's not like that. It's overly boozy. It's like right on the front. You get all that vanilla in it, and then the smoke comes at the end. You have this nice lingering mouthfeel, the smokiness for the porter. Man, that's not anything I've ever had before. That is really, really unique and really, really good.
I think almost everybody would put Alaskan Smoke Porter at the top of any short list of best beers in the country. That's an iconic beer. And to see Omegang doing a Smoke Porter and then riffing on it is pretty cool.
Yeah. And like I said, just when you get it in the nose out of the bottle, it doesn't smell like any bourbon at all. Like I was really expecting it to, that's what you expect it to hit you in the nose, but it took until I poured it in the glass to really open it up. So really, really, really superb. Not one you drink a lot of, however.
Well,
not unless you want to be laying on the floor, but yeah.
Oh, do you need a 5-ounce taster, Doug? Oh.
No, because I'm drinking all this, so.
So
I think it would be better than that, Craig. Come on now.
So since I'm not going to Distill this year, but I'm going next year. There's just no question.
Sure.
I've heard enough. I have heard enough. So how do the distillers and how do you as the founder and obviously guy in charge, how do you make sure that these people are only pouring this much, or like do you guys got little glasses? Because we have this issue, Doug. I'll explain, Doug, real quick. We have an issue at the Great Taste where sometimes the brewers are over what's the word I want to use, anxious, and they will just pour you a big beer. And like we're like, no, we need, like everybody needs a small, we're here drinking 6,000 beers. We can only have this much. So there's a, there's a responsibility that the club has, and also that any kind of beer place has. That they're not just filling up your beer with 12 ounces of what you just had, bourbon barrels. So how do you mitigate that with distilled? One of the great part of the Great Taste is the fact that it's outside on grass, so you can pour out anywhere. And one of the hardest concepts, it seems like, for people in Wisconsin, because we're so Wisconsin nice, is to get through the message that there's not a producer in the world that expects you to drink everything that he just poured you. So you will offend nobody, whether it's brewery, winery, cidery, distillery, if you pour it out right in front of them. Everybody understands little tastes, et cetera, et cetera. So our glass is a little Glencairn glass. I don't even know if I've got one. But the Glencairn is our sponsored glass. So very small pours. I would say there's not a distillery that goes through more than one bottle of any one product. They may have 6 products, but they don't need 2 bottles of anything because they're not going to go through, because they're doing a 1/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce max pour. So how many
95, 98 distilleries, we will have 300, 350 products.
And how many people?
600.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Okay. As much as I wanted to go to the Great Taste, that particular one, that is something I totally want to figure out a way to get to.
Sure.
I'm with you. And Fred, the problem with, unfortunately, Doug and I aren't going to be at the Great Taste this year. The problem is that it's the same weekend as Fresh Fest, which I don't know if you've heard. Which is it's the one and only Black Beer Festival, where it's just breweries or Black-owned breweries.
Black-owned breweries, Black brewers.
Yep, and distilleries, and it's actually I struggle with calling it a beer festival because it feels like more like a cultural festival because they just have food and it's I can't really even, I don't know. I don't even want to compare it to the Great Taste, to be honest with you, because they're just two different wonderful things.
Animals.
Fresh Fest just came on the scene. This is their third year, and every year it's the second week in August. So it's like, for me, excuse my language, it's a clusterfuck because I'm literally leaving my hometown with one of the best beer festivals ever to go to Pittsburgh. So next year is the year that Fresh Fest is not around, or Doug and I are going to Fresh Fest this year. Maybe next year I'll be like, Doug, just come home. We'll go back to the Great Day.
That drive.
But it's agonizing to me on some level that literally right down the street I have the best beer festival, and I literally get in my car and drive 6 hours to another one. So it's weird, but it's where we're at. But no, the Great Taste again. It's, man, how long has the Great Taste been going on?
This will be 33 years.
And it's always been run by the club.
Yep.
And I mean, the club gets sponsors and stuff, but like, there's no private money. I mean, this is all club run, Doug. I mean, it's just amazing to see the club mobilize like it does every year. It's just like every year, it's like it just cranks. It's just, and it's just not. Again, it's just great work from Fred, and Fred could go down the list of, excuse my language, but all the motherfuckers who put time and effort and days and work, and I mean, we got a board, and I mean, you guys just work year round. I mean, it's just amazing. I can't say enough. Doug, one of the funniest things about the club, when I first joined the club, one of the biggest issues was that the club has too much beer. And where does the club, because the club gets beer from the Great Taste. So then where does the club store the beer? That was like one of the biggest problems when it might still be an issue. I'm not that close to the club as I used to be. Go back, but like, yeah, it's always a like first world problems, right? We have too much beer and we don't know where to put it. And it's just like, I love this club. It's great.
Yeah, but you're in Wisconsin. You can stick that shit on your porch. And
leave it on your porch right now. Totally. Not going to freeze out tonight.
Anyway, I'm gonna jump to my weird. Good man, time flies when you got a good guess, right, Doug?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not just me and you, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna open up this Half Acre. Doug, I'm sorry, Fred. I don't know if you want to talk anything about Half Acre, about what you know about them.
Those guys are fantastic. They've been in Chicago, one of the industry leaders in Chicago. They were in probably the 10th, maybe within the first 10 craft breweries in Chicago. Okay. Near North Side, excellent industrial area, got a little gift shop. You can come in and buy 6-packs and walk. The place is not big. It is very much a neighborhood brewery. They were one of the first Midwestern breweries to can. I don't know that I've ever seen them in bottles, actually. And they went 16-ounce cans. Fantastic on those cans.
And I don't know if you remember, so if you don't remember, that's cool. But I remember it was last year that when the awards came out for the best beers of the year and all that, Chicago had all the best New England style IPAs. Everybody was like, what the fuck's going on?
10 years ago, 15 years ago for sure in Chicago, you couldn't find a craft brewery. You could find Goose Island and a couple other guys, but there weren't anybody else. And now you've got all these iconic national breweries. And then you got Lagunitas that was in, San Diego and then moved in, so that's their Midwestern brewery.
But I was suspecting that maybe Half Acre was one of those ones that had the New England, one of the New Englands down there, because their IPAs are just crazy. This is a double. What do you call this guy? Double dry hop, double Indian Pale Ale. And I don't know, I got a high V, and the guy's like, "Oh, this just came in today," and I was like, "Okay." I didn't even. You ever do that? You just don't even look at the price. You're just like, "Oh, this look, this is today," and I'm like, "Oh, and so did I." Thank you. That's exactly how I think. So I know it's pretty fresh because Half Acre. But this year, what is it called? Classic Future? Around this one?
Classic Future, nice. I've never seen that. That might be a brand new beer.
Yeah, it's a this is a juicy big hops, but fruit hops, not bittering. I'm not feeling that like that what do we used to call we had a phrase for this, Doug, where it was just too hoppy at the end and like it's just too
palate wrecker.
Is that what it is?
I always call those palate wreckers, but that's
yeah. Or how about this, Fred? Bitter for the sake of just being bitter.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Right. This is fruity for the sake of being fruity. This is a fruity, big ass double IPA. And yeah, it's
what's the ABV on that?
I don't know, man. I think you would like this one. It's really fruity. It's almost I'm gonna have another sip here, but it's almost borderline. I don't want to say too sweet, but and I'm not seeing
it looks that part, Craig.
8.5.
But so you look at it, and it looks like juicy, but yeah, juicy. Not quite milkshake, but yeah, it looks at that.
It is juicy as, but it's really good. I was hoping it'd be more. I'm more of that palate wrecker guy. So you can wreck my palate, and I'm down.
So, like, here, Greg, I'm handing this over to you through the screen.
Right. No, but this is a good one, and I don't know, like Fred mentioned about Half Acre. Half Acre is just one of those breweries that I see. If I see it, and like the guy said, it's it's fresh. I just get it. Like the word of mouth on them is just so good that you just get it, and then you deal with it later. Another brewery that has been. I want to hear your opinion on it real quick. Another brewery that has been. I don't know. I remember when they were a baby. I drove by them before they were even like anything. And now I brought my beer blogger friends down here about 2 months ago, and we went to Vintage. We went to Giant Jones. We were at Working Draft. We hit a lot of good places, and the thing that stood out to them was Octopi Brewing.
Interesting.
And I don't know, man. You go there now. I haven't been there recently where the whole place hasn't been packed. They got a kitchen there with I think some kind of like a gourmet guy.
Really good chef.
Yeah, they're really I can't. This is the closest brewery to my house, and every time I go there, it's just something new going on. Some kind of buzz. My beer blogger friends again, they drink a lot of beer. They've been around the town. They were like, Octopi is probably one of the best you guys got. And I was like, oh, really? Like, to me, kind of like, Octopi is that little place up in Wanakee for me. Like, they're not, I don't know, I guess they changed. Where are you at with them?
They're their own thing. They're a collaborative thing. They do a whole Untitled Art series with Levi and all those guest brewers. But then they have all those contracts, okay? They make all the beer for Hop House. They make all the beer for fill in the blank. They've got a bunch of different contracts in the house. They just keep growing. They are a force to be reckoned with. Absolutely. And not only are they making their beer, they're doing collaborative beers, and then they're doing a lot of beers for other people. So,
and they got a brewer from Goose Island that's doing their barrel age. And they got one of the we were there for a tour. And they have one of the most state-of-the-art brewing systems in Swanson, right?
Yeah. They're putting on a whole new edition that is almost doubling their capacity as far as tank space. It's huge. Most of that is, I think, they picked up a big contract for hard seltzer, so they're also doing. People are like, say what I always tell people: say what you want about hard seltzer, they ain't going away. And if you're a brewery that's not paying attention and you're not making one, you might be in trouble. Because we've changed our drinking habits. Thank God we changed our eating habits, our drinking habits. By and large, we're eating less, but we're trying to eat better. We're drinking less, we're trying to drink better, and that's where hard seltzers come from. It's that, how can I drink a little lower ABV, a little lower calories, et cetera, et cetera. It's the exact opposite of pastry stouts. How can I stick 500 calories in a can?
Yeah.
And Fred, I completely agree with you about seltzers not going away. People think it's a fad, but the same people said 3 years ago that IPA is a fad that's going away. I'm waiting for the IPAs to go away. I'm not going to wait because I know they're not. But the same with the seltzers. 2 years ago, or no, it was last year. I went to Montana for the beer blogger conference, and no, it was 2 years ago. We went 2 years ago in the beer blogger conference. It wasn't in Montana, but Julia Hertz there. Julia Hertz told us about how she said she every time we go to the beer bloggers conference, Julia Hertz works for, I got to give everybody the background. She works for craftbeer.com, and she comes out and she tells us this. She just hits us with the stats about craft beer. She's like, look, it's going up, it's going down. This is the effect. 2 years ago she was talking about, or 3 years ago was weed in Colorado affecting craft beer. We went down that road and all that. Long story short, she went down the road of seltzer, and 2 years ago she told us this is not going away. You can call it a fad, but this is actually a trend. Like, it's not a fad, it's a trend, and it's just not going anywhere. And she showed us the stats, and whether you guys like it or not, it's here. And she was right. She was right. And I was telling everybody too, I was like, this isn't going away, so it's going to pop up more. And I'm with you, Fred. If you Oso's a great example. I'm just going to pull them out. They got a nice new place on East Wash. Our friend Chad is the main guy there. Wonderful. But they have, I think, 12 taps. I think let's just go with that just for sake of argument. They have 12 taps. If their bottom 2 taps they take off and they put on seltzer, as a craft beer guy, I'm not going to care. As a non-seltzer craft beer guy, I'm not going to care as long as I can get Oso. As long as I know that Chad's going to be there when I want to get my Oso, and then cross the street and go to Parch Eagle, and then head down to Giant Jones and jump over to Rookie Draft. But you know what I'm saying? I'm with you. I don't like the seltzers, but I'd rather them have them than not speak.
Sure. And make them as good as you can. I think one of the things that blew me away in 2019 was Lagunitas' hop water. 0 calories, 0 alcohol, and it was like drinking a thin IPA, and it was fantastic. It blew me away. It was one of those things. You go out for a run, it's the middle of summer, and you can just chug those. We're on the Goodwill trip this year. We're at Lagunitas. I'm standing there with 2 4-packs in my hand checking out, and people are walking past me from our beer club, and they're going, you ain't buying that for yourself. I know you're not buying that. I said, go taste it, and then you'll be right behind me with your damn 4-packs. We ended up rolling 16 cases onto the bus, because people are just blown away. And I encourage people to try stuff like that, because that's as innovative as anything else. Okay, where you figure out a way to make something super hoppy, but it doesn't have to be caloric and it doesn't have to have alcohol in it. It was a phenomenal drink.
Is it still coming?
And I never picked it
up.
It's
got national distribution. You can find it everywhere in Madison.
Wow.
I found it.
We got to do it, Doug.
Right by me. I mean, and I'm in upstate New York, and I found it there. And the problem for me is I'm not a guy who likes a lot of hoppy beers, so I kind of shied away from it.
Doug, we should do it.
Yeah. Well, maybe I will when you're here. But
I don't know. I'll bring it. Right.
Greg also talks about things that are like lower ABV, like Rec League from Harpoon and things like that are just they're 3 and 4%, and it's like. It's not like Michelob Ultra. It's not that sort of thing, but it is sort of in that style where you're having the lower ABV, but because you still want the beer taste, but you also don't want a whole bunch of so I'm drinking that barrel aged thing, and that thing is, I'm sure that's 1 million calories. Some people don't want to drink all that. So I think it's cool that they're kind of branching out and trying to reach more people who might not be into that sort of thing.
Totally.
Well, and it's showing that and I'm not really trying to get on this strain because we can talk about this scenario. But and I know, Fred, we've talked about this diversity in beer, and when we talk about diversity in beer, a lot of times we talk about the people drinking the beer or the people in the pubs, but there's also a diversity in beverages. And again, sometimes you're not just with Fred. Me and Fred aren't just walking into Parch Eagle having beer. Sometimes it's Fred and his wife. And maybe Fred's wife doesn't like beer, or maybe it's Fred and a friend who doesn't drink beer at all. And maybe this Lagunitas offering would be something that would even just bring them out to a pub. Like some people just are like, oh, there's nothing there for me, so can we just meet at a coffee shop? Hey, there's hard seltzers. Hey, they got non-alcoholic things. You know what I mean? We got some virgin drinks here. I like when I see a brewery do different things.
Absolutely. Well, and as well as I do that if 4 couples are going out, if 2 couples are going out, it's the one person that is the outlier that will determine where everybody else is going. Okay. The wine drinker that doesn't want to go to your craft beer bar because there's not good wine there. It is your non-drinker that doesn't want to go to a bar because they can't find anything. So, I hate the term mocktail, but I like the fact that we are out there playing and companies are coming up and they're making cocktails with no alcohol, and people are feeling less embarrassed. I mean, that's how hard seltzer got big. When bros started walking around with cans and frat boys started walking around with those cans and they weren't embarrassed. That's how that stuff got big. Okay, so the same thing's going to happen with non-alcoholic drinks as soon as it gets to the right demographic and people are like, oh yeah, you can drink this. Don't be embarrassed. Mm-hmm. That's one of the great things about this whole new group of 20-year-olds. They drink so different than my generation. They drink less, they drink better. They don't drive. It's never a consideration. They're safety conscious. We could learn a lot from the 20-year-olds right now.
Yeah. There's actually a whole contingent, Greg, that we know that people who are going the sober route because that's something they've chosen, and mm-hmm. maybe the mocktails and like the hop water and things like that can kind of satisfy their taste for things without actually having to imbibe alcohol. If you're an alcoholic but you like the taste of beer, maybe that's the route you can go that actually satisfies that part of you without actually, going back into a place that's, for lack of a better term, destructive for them. So I like that it's an expanding thing.
Right. Absolutely.
Fred, do you think, America is a place of extremes, and we always love to put ourselves in like an extreme, Sure. We always like to debate extreme things. So here's an extreme one, and you may have heard it. Is hard seltzer, and I'm almost laughing when I ask it, but is hard seltzer a threat to craft beer?
No, and I don't think it might be a threat to overall volumes. I don't think a well-crafted beer is going to suffer from a well-crafted seltzer. I mean, there's seltzers that I'm probably never going to drink. Okay, I'm probably not going to drink a lot of Bud Light hard seltzer, but I might drink a lot of Strayforth from Ale Asylum. Okay, I might drink Carbon 4's new offering. I'm going to try them all. I just think that there's a time and a place for that, and I think that is going to start becoming more and more somebody's offering. So instead of you start at a blonde or a golden or a light beer as you're offering at that brewery, you may start with a non-alcoholic beer, and you see that non-alcoholic beer kind of live in this world of taste profiles, or hard seltzer live there. But at the same time, I'm out at the GABF and I'm listening to the winners from the non-alcoholic category. They were Imperial Stouts. Okay, I'm like, what? Imperial Porter, Imperial Stouts were the bronze and silver winners this year. There are entire craft breweries opening up that have no alcohol. Okay, they're making all NA beer and they're killing it. So I think that's where slots are going to happen. I think hard seltzer is going to be a slot that people have to put in their portfolios. I think non-alcoholics might be something that they put in the portfolio. Every craft cocktail person better know how to make a non-alcoholic cocktail for somebody that comes up. If for no other reason, after somebody's had too many and you make them one without, maybe
like cheers.
Doug, it looked like you had a question. Am I wrong?
No, I was a little blown away by the idea that there was Imperial Porters, Imperial Stouts that were non-alcoholic. I think
it was crazy. And it was the first time I think the GABF brought back the NA category in like 13 years. But then I went to this guy's table over at GABF. I'm like looking at his offerings, and it's like non-alcoholic IPAs, non-alcoholic Imperial Porters, non-alcoholic Imperial Stouts. It is a crazy new world we are living in because it's all about flavors, and it doesn't necessarily have to come through fermentation.
I'm wondering if it's more like if that's more of a niche thing than
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it.
It could be, sure.
It's like you have your. I don't know. It reminds me of like when we went through the Bartles and James wine cooler phase, and like had this little thing. And not that this is a phase, but this is something that's an offshoot. I mean, they still make Bartles and James. There's still people who are loyal to that brand. So, maybe this is something where people go, I really just prefer this. Like you said, the younger crowds, like I grew up in rural PA and people drank just to get annihilated. They didn't drink for any flavor. It was like, how much can I drink and how cheap is it?
How cheap, how fast, how quick.
Yeah. So, now it's a little different that, like my kids are teens and they see me drinking, but there's times where I'll go, all right, you can try a taste of this so you know what I'm drinking, so you understand, but you understand that you drink responsibly. When I drink, I do not drive, but that's something that I want to instill in them. And I think you see a younger generation that understands a lot more of stuff than I did at that age, for sure. And understands that, like, if you can educate your kids enough to understand that alcohol can be a freaking weapon if you can't drive. You have Uber, you have a lot of options where you don't have to drive.
Right.
But I think that's as you said, learning a little bit from them is pretty interesting, just because they take a different approach to things than we do.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my God. Well, and the different approach, in my opinion, is because of the options, because they're actually living up those options, whether it be Uber or, car sharing, or just fuck it, I don't need to have a beer. I think, maybe there was more peer pressure when we were growing up. Because I definitely felt peer pressure. I was straight edge kid until I went to college, and then it was all downhill after that. But I was a straight edge kid, and I was like, no, I'm cool. And I don't know, my mother was great, but like, no, the options are great. So we need to wrap it up because our friend has a big day tomorrow.
So your closest friends coming over.
Yeah, and this isn't right. This isn't your first rodeo, so obviously, you know how to do this. But I just wanted to, Doug, if you don't have any more questions for Fred, I just wanted to let him go unless he has anything else to say. I wanted to thank you for gracing his presence with us and teaching us some shit. I didn't even know about this non-alcoholic, man.
Me either, man.
I love it, Doug, because and Fred probably knows too. I don't know if I talked to Fred, but Doug, that when I go on my beer trips, like, I avoid a buzz. Like, me avoiding a buzz is the point of the whole day of tasting, because I want to be able to taste. And if I get a buzz, I can't taste it, and the whole tasting day is gone. And that's not a bad thing. I can just start pounding fucking Imperials. That's great. But the point is, when I'm out tasting, I just want to taste. So if I can just start tasting some non-alcoholic ones in the middle, it will be amazing. That would be, I don't know. I'm in. I think people have that negative stigma too, Fred, about non-alcoholic beers being shitty, because there's 3 of them and 2 of them are like, you know what I mean? Like, there's not any diversity or any, like, you're talking about porters and Imperials having non-alcoholic. Man, you're changing that game. If these beers taste like beer, you're changing the game.
I will tell you what the weirdest part of the GABF was watching the award ceremony, and the non-alcoholic thing comes back for 13 years. First brewery wins for bronze. Same brewery wins for silver. The place gets super quiet, thinking that this guy might run the table and take all 3 awards. Well, he doesn't. And before anybody knew what they were doing, they're booing the guy that won the gold. And they realized it like a split second later, and they're like, okay, that's kind of a dick move. So then they started clapping. But it was like everybody was super excited to see if somebody would run the table. So that's pretty cool.
So before I let you go, Fred, I don't know if you see on the screen there, our friend Daniel Fisher says he wants you to come back for Distill America and previews for the Great Taste. And I would love that. It's a fantastic idea. Hey, Doug, we should get Daniel should be our producer or something. Anyway,
he's always part of the crowd, right?
We should come in and talk about Great Taste, like end of July, right away in August. Tell people what the buzz is and what we know is coming in, and some weird beers that are going to happen. New brewery for sure.
Love that.
Absolutely,
excellent. Fred, thanks for coming on. Thanks for being who you are. Thanks for doing what you do for us, whether it be the Homebrew Club or any of that. Fred's one of our biggest. I count him as one of our biggest educators too. Fred does. You're still doing a whiskey tasting over at the Mall House, right?
Doing them every 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. Yep. Every
2-3 weeks on a Thursday, and you go in there, Doug, and Fred's here pouring, but he'll pour for you, but he'll also sit there and he's helped Michelle. He's helped my lady talk about, try to figure out where her palate is, what she likes. So it's not just him pouring. He'll be there and he'll talk to you. Mall House every 2 Thursdays.
Every couple Thursdays, 3 Thursdays.
Fantastic. You can find that on any of the Mall House's social media. Bill's really great about getting that out. I need to be out. If it wasn't for the ladies' work, we would be there much more than we are. She usually works late, and she usually gets off late by the time like you're almost ending. So, but we were there a couple times.
Sure.
She's a distillery lady, and I'm the brewery guy, so it works out nice. But anyway, Fred, it's just been amazing having you on. I almost don't want to end it, but I know you got work to do.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate you having me on. I really do.
Oh man! Again, thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you soon. Actually,
we'll see you in a few months.
We're booking you for July. So Daniel, it's done, buddy. See you, Fred. Talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Take care.
Thanks for everything.
Man,
that was awesome.
Yeah, Fred's awesome. I don't even think we didn't even really talk that much about Dancing Goat. He talked about it a little bit, but we could get there more. We'll get back to that in July. But yeah, Fred's awesome. I love Fred. So we need to do our little wrap up here, and we can start our weekend. I love starting my weekend with you, Doug. I do have to say that. I didn't. Now it's come to my head, but this week was the first week that I actually thought, like, damn, every week I start my weekend with Doug. I don't even think about it. I start my weekend with Doug every weekend, and you people don't. And if you don't, you should be here, and then you would start your weekend with Doug too. Anyway,
it's a good thing.
I think it is. So, goddamn it, it is. So, what did you have, buddy?
All right. So, like I said, I had a really good week. All the beers were good. Very close, like as far as like what I liked, all different styles. This was like, again, I'm going to say least favorite, but least favorite's really a bad term. This was good. It was definitely different. There's a wheat beer with pineapple and coconut. The pineapple was like really popping off in that thing and made it almost like a dessert beer. I drank all of it, so clearly it was good. My second favorite was the Margarita Gosa, which I would totally have in the summer.
I missed that it was Cigar City when you first pulled it out. We got a lot of things going on, and we had Fred on and all that. But I missed that it was Cigar City.
Yeah, and that's why, and it was canned last month. So this is something they make then. It's not like a summertime thing they're making. So this is really good. Jill was sitting next to me. I handed to her, and she just gave me the look. So cool.
Okay.
This is went off the picture.
Jill approved. All right.
Jill approved.
Jill approved. There we go.
So this is the winner, but like again, they're all fucking good. So like this was just totally different. Just like I said, you open it up in the bottle, and all you got was like chocolate and vanilla coming at you, and then you pour it, and it's just all bourbon. And but it was smooth. You had the smoky porter flavor, the bourbon, just really, really good for a limited release for Omegang. If you can pick this up anywhere, it's so worth it. This was a $5 bottle, though. It was not a super cheap. It was moderately priced, so but definitely good. What about you, man?
Real quick, Blue Tube, Saison sour with blueberries. Very restricted, very nice summer drinker. Fruity, but not too much. Pretty damn good. Number 2 was actually Half Acre. I'm pretty surprised I'm putting it at 2. This is fantastic, juicy. Still got it going on here. Juicy double IPA. Don't be afraid if you don't like bitter IPAs. Ooh, look at that. Don't be afraid to get this one. This is not bitter, fruity, nice. Big fruit, guava, orange, all that. And the winner is this Carbon 4 Mexican hot Mexican chocolate stout. I was really surprised by this because actually all the stouts and all like the junked out stouts, where they put a whole bunch of cinnamon and all that. These are kind of my least favorite, Doug, to be honest with you, the Mexican ones. And the reason is because I feel that they're trying to do too much, whether it be cinnamon, nutmeg, any of that shit. They're doing too much. This isn't. This is subtle. It's nice. It's approachable. You could give this to somebody who doesn't really, not in the stout team. It's like, here you go. It's a good one. So I like that it's, not bold, actually. So we like bold flavors. But I'm starting to appreciate when they're not bold because it opens up, for everybody. again, I like big flavors. Give me the hoppiest shit. Give me the maltiest shit. Give me all that shit. But that's not me, or that's just me, not everybody else. So we got to celebrate everybody else to make it. So
yeah. Well, let's wrap this up, man. It's been great, man. That was an awesome guest. Can't wait to have him on again.
Yeah, we'll have him right on before we go to Fresh Fest.
Yeah, man. All right, folks. So thanks again for joining us. Cheers to y'all.
Oh, and next week we will not have a show.
No, we'll be at Dad 2.0.
Yes, we have to announce this. I just totally forgot. So next week we will not have a show. We might. I would stay tuned to all our channels though, because we're probably going to have something. And Doug and I are going to be taping things. We're going to be on the road. So we'll have something out there for you guys.
For sure.
This won't be this show at this time. We will return in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2.
With Daddy Files, Aaron Govea. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Awesome.
So we're gonna have a Patriots talk and Govea. Me and him, we're gonna have to go out a little bit because Govea is very opinionated about craft beer and like he's about everything. So we're gonna have
pretty much
right. So this is gonna be ruckus next week, man. Like I love Fred, he's great, but we know Aaron on a personal level, so this is gonna be you're not gonna want to miss in 2 weeks.
You're not. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be a fucking riot. Exactly. So Doug, I will see you in person before I see you on the screen.
There you will, man. That'd be great. I can't wait, dude.
Man, what a week. Cheers, peoples. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks for sure with Crazy Aaron, but we'll see you next week on some form. Cheers.
All right, later.
Oh,